here where you watch the flame. This is another PEEP windows where you can see in here to watch them hats come down on the bus bar when you slide that front. You can shine a flashlight in here to make sure that them hats are coming down the bus bars to make sure it makes electrode contact on the bus bars properly. The target's in the back of the waste oil furnace. It's a big fire brick where the flame shoots on the back. The fan motor is in the back of the furnace back here, blows the hot air out in the shop. The meter pump is right here. Do yourself a favor. If you buy a Lanair waste oil furnace, get a meter pump. They control the flame size very well, keeps the flame running smoothly. It's a slow RPM pump motor, and then you don't have to have a pressure regulator at all. It simply pushes it through the right flow. If it's diesel fuel, it pushes it through at very low pressure. If it's heavyweight motor oil, the pressure rises, still goes through the same speed. If you ever do get carbon or dirt or rubber or trash in the nozzle, the flow slows down. This meter pump will build all the way up to about 50, 60 pounds, and it will pop off. If it can't push it through, it normally pushes it through, but if it can't, then this pop-off valve here will vent the pressure back to the tank. This is a nice setup. We use a spin-on filter on what we sell, and we use a vacuum gauge so you can tell if the spin-on filter is free or plugged up, and then we use a half-inch flare copper suction line, goes down the tank, suck the oil up to the meter pump. Then we have a pressure filter between the pump and the burner to get the oil nice and clean before it goes to the burner. That keeps the interior preheater parts clean. Barometric dampers over here. This goes on to the furnace, and when the exhaust gases come out of the furnace, it goes past the barometric damper. If the smokestack's too tall and it's pulling too hard, it lets extra cold air in here to cool it down and slow it down to make the proper draft. Next, we're going to talk about the sequence of operation. The power comes from the circuit breaker here. It needs to be turned on 15 minutes so the whole thing warms up. From there, it goes up on top to the overheat switch. After it's been through the wiring terminal strip here to the overheat switch, if it's not overheated, then it comes down here, comes down through the yellow quick disconnect power tail, and runs up to run the preheater switch and the heaters inside. There's a heater here, the main heater in the bottom block, the small heater here that heats the air in the top block. That power coming from the electric tail runs through this on and off switch to the preheater switch to keep the block at the right temperature. You shouldn't be able to hold your hand on this block very long. It should get nice and warm. Wait 15 minutes, turn your wall thermostat on. That's here to the T&T terminal. That's where your wall thermostat goes, normally a red and white wire. When this turns on, then your flame controller sends power out the orange wire to the orange section of the terminal strip here, which starts the pump on the tank. Is the wire here. This goes out to the pump on your tank, runs the pump. It also starts the blower motor for combustion air. It opens the air solenoid, brings compressed air into the burner. That comes over here, comes in the heater block, pulls the piston diaphragm back, opens the oil seal in the back of the nozzle when that plunger comes back. Then the oil can flow through the nozzle. Your transformer here gets hot, sets on these bus bars, that lights the flame. So you have combustion air, ignition, oil pressure coming up here, and that starts the flame. Once you get a flame, the electric eye that's here in the lid, when you shut this lid, it shoots up in here to watch the flame. That sends ohms back to this double yellow cord. Comes up here to the flame controller. This keeps the red button from popping the unit off. It keeps the thing running all day long, unless you run out of fuel, unless you have a flame out. It keeps it running all day long, unless there's a flame out or an overheat condition. If you lose electrical connection and you lose a fan in the middle of the night, the unit will slightly overheat in the top and safely shut the unit down.